Good morning. I'm Judge Tammy Long Hayward. This is the State Court of Clayton County. This is the November 19th jail and arraignment calendar for Clayton County State Court, courtroom 304. I'm going to call the arraignment calendar first, and then we'll move to the jail calendar. All right. First case on the calendar is Jacques Cardan Adams. Jacques Cardan Adams.
Judge, Mr. Adams is present in the courtroom. I spoke to Ms. Arnold. I believe we're going to need to conference with the state about that matter. From speaking to him, it may be a not guilty plea, but I believe we're waiting for some information from the state to discuss with Mr. Adams.
Actually, it's been no process.
Oh. Is there one open charge, Your Honor? Because it appeared that.
Okay, so this is the case that it's been no prost on my calendar, 2024 CR 06836, but I don't see another case on this calendar. Do you want me to check the jail calendar?
Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
The case was transferred back from Superior Court. It was transferred under the CR. So it was put back on there because it was transferred back to state.
Okay, so the one that was no prost, this is the one that got sent back.
Correct.
So what has to happen to activate it? It's back in whatever status it needs to be for me to deal with it?
Yeah, I think that's the clerk changes the disposition to make it open.
Okay, because my calendars were probably printed a while ago. Miss Val does everything early, so y'all, she's way ahead of the game when it comes. So if it came back recently, it's gonna show up as still no prost on my calendar. All right, so Mr. Adams, I'll let y'all have that breakout room. And Jonica Brianna Chapman. Jonica Brianna Chapman.
We'll be with you.
Yes, ma'am. Stay removed for a bench. Oh, she's on Zoom.
Ms. Chapman, do you know how to turn your camera on?
I'm sorry. I do not. I'm hitting all.
I sent you a prompt. I think when I send that, it allows you to, okay, there you are.
Good morning.
All right, so you're before the court for defective equipment, suspended registration, and no tag or expired or invalid tag. You also have an active bench warrant. Did you wish to have an attorney represent you today, or did you wish to represent yourself?
I'll have an attorney represent me today.
Okay, so I'm gonna have the attorneys, Mr. Lynch or Mr. Taylor will represent you. They'll speak with you in a moment. I'll put you in a breakout room at the appropriate time, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, Wade Hayes.
Judge, Mr. Hayes is present in the courtroom. I'm just going to request a brief, well, I just need a conference with the state.
Okay, so when you all talk about Adams, you can talk about Hayes too.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. So before we move on to the next calendar, let's go ahead and do that breakout room for this calendar, and maybe we can resolve this calendar and then move forward. All right. So I'm gonna put the courtroom and the Miss Hagler in breakout room number 1.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. And we'll be right back.
Hi, Ms. Chapman. If you're still on the Zoom call, what I'd like for you to do is open your chat window and send me your telephone number. This is Attorney Taylor speaking.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
I just responded back to you, Attorney Taylor.
Thank you. I'll contact her now. They're never gonna get this screen fixed, are they?
He said he has a court order, but, you know.
And I think we're the only courtroom that actually does this with the Zoom all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Well, that's fine.
Mr. Taylor, did you get the number?
I did, Your Honor.
Okay,
And I'm just,
Yeah, Miss Val is trying to get us our equipment straight. We're working on it.
I should have probably turned that microphone off.
That's okay. We are also frustrated. When you gotta wait for the buffering in trial, it's like watching the Mike Tyson fight all over again.
That was ridiculous.
No, but poor Mike, he made $20 million. I'll give him that one.
I think the audio was like 5 minutes behind the actual fight, which was like watching a whole.
It was for you too? Okay. All right. So it wasn't just us. Yeah. It was interesting. The Serrano fight was way better.
Oh yeah, those two women.
Yeah, they went at it. It was a much better fight. But all right, well, I'll be back.
Okay. Hi, Ms. Heglar. I responded to you in chat on Ms. Chapman.
And I also have an announcement for Mr. Wade Hayes. It's going to be a negotiated plea.
Okay, Attorney Taylor, can I to get a copy of that information? Can you please ask your clients to provide you a copy of the proof?
He heard you.
It may be difficult, but
He's going to attempt.
This is what I'll do. She's on Zoom, right? I'll just send her my government number and have her send it to me. So please stand by. Thank you. You said negotiated P for
Wade Hayes, what we had just discussed. He's on board with that.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, as soon as Ms. Hagler has done what she needs to do, then we're ready on Hayes. You can bring him out.
Let me.
Please.
All right, Mr. Hayes, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. Mr. Hayes, you're before the court on 2022 CR 01190 for Wade Hayes, simple battery, family violence, and simple battery. You're represented by Attorney Owen Lynch. Mr. Lynch, what does your client plead to the offenses before the court?
Nolo, Your Honor.
All right, I enter a plea of nolo to count, is it count one or count two?
I believe it would be count one.
All right, and count two will merge. Sir, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about January the 2nd of 2022, Officer Jarvis Williams responded to 6769 Bedford Road, Clayton County, Georgia. Rex, Georgia, Clayton County, regarding a domestic disturbance. The defendant, doing his investigation, determined that the defendant did punch and struck the victim, Keith Scott. several times, which led to an altercation. After the initial altercation stopped, the defendant started punching the victim again. The incident was captured on their home camera system. Both the defendant and the victim are brother-in-laws, and they were residing in the same residence at the time of the incident. At this time, Your Honor, the state's recommendation for count 1 is going to be 12 months to serve, 1 day, community time served, violence probated, anger management, a fine of $400, and the defendant is to have no violent or harassing contact with the victim again. Mr. Keith Scott.
Your Honor, that was the recommendation we discussed. I believe Ms. Hagler would not object to probation terminated on completion. One of the reasons.
Ms. Hagler?
Well, wasn't a negotiation, Mr. Lynch.
Okay.
But
Are they
nevertheless,
still living together?
he's supposed to be leaving, right?
Right, and that was, we did discuss that. That was
Not TOC, not the TOC, but I don't mind. That's fine.
perhaps I had a misunderstanding of what was discussed. Well, Your Honor, we were asking terminate on completion because he is trying to leave the state of Georgia. He has numerous health conditions. I believe they're moving to Maryland, correct?
Delaware.
Delaware, I'm sorry. One of those northern states. Judge, so I'll just ask that if he can successfully pay the fine and complete that anger management course, that his probation be allowed to terminate at that time so he can leave the state of Georgia and go on about his life and figuring out his medical situation.
Okay, well, I'll do that. Whose house is it?
Mine. It's my
It's
house.
your house?
Yes, ma'am. My wife and I.
Okay, you know, I haven't had to give this speech in a long time, and I know people think that they're helping out family members when they say, oh yeah, you know, you can come stay with us. We got you. But it rarely does it turn out well. I'm just saying. Because adults living in their house with their things and the way they do things, even having an adult child come back and live with you can be agonizing. So yeah, sometimes that is, you can help them more in other ways. But yeah, if somebody's trying to get on their feet, you might be able to help them differently, is all I'm saying. Okay. All right. So I'm going to accept your plea of no load to count 1, count 2 will merge. I'll send you to 12 months to serve 1 day credit for time served. Balance will be probated for you to take an anger management class, pay a fine in the amount of $400. I can usually tell you what the surcharges will be on that and tell you what the total is, but I haven't memorized that one. I'm sorry. So then your to have no violent or harassing contact with Mr. Keith Scott. And I'll go ahead and allow it to terminate upon completion of go ahead and do those things that I've asked you to do. Then your probation can terminate so you can go, you know, reside elsewhere if that's what you choose to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Mr. Hayes, you're going to go straight through the double doors. When you come out of the courtroom, go to your right. The next courtroom over, courtroom 305, you're going to go through that first set of double doors, and Miss James should be in there for probation. If she's busy, she's going to ask you to wait in the hallway until she's ready for you, okay? Ask any questions that are specific to anything that you might have going on in your life. And if you have any difficulties with anything that's been asked, please talk to your probation officer. Don't just guess, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hayes.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, bye-bye.
I do have an announcement.
Yes.
And so I have in the courtroom, I have Miss LaFrey Brown. I did receive the email from Val saying she was going to go ahead and schedule that for December 10th, I believe, another date. And I totally respect the court's schedule. I did, before I had that clear, I did tell Miss Brown to be here. The state's aware she's here. If the state is ready, I believe we could resolve that through a plea of one sort or the other. Today, Miss Brown is certainly ready to go forward.
All right, is this somebody with a bench warrant? I was off that chat. I didn't.
So I think what happened, the way it worked out is that she was in custody. And because she was in custody, the state had already accused her case. So the case was already accused. It's a criminal trespass at the airport. But she did receive an unrecognizance bond, or maybe she posted a bond, but in any case, she posted a bond. So normally her case wouldn't be accused for a lot of time. However, it has been accused, and you know, she's ready to resolve it, and she's here. But I understand that's not up to me, that's up to the court. But I just wanted to put that out there.
All right, does she have a plea ready? Y'all ready for a plea?
I mean, Judge, I'm comfortable. I don't have a recommendation from the state. She did 20 over, I think, approaching 30 days in custody, and I don't think she has a record. I was going to ask the court to give her credit for the time that she served. I believe she did 23 days in custody for first criminal
Okay. Well, since I don't have her record or anything, and I don't even know what she was charged with, I don't have anything on my calendar. If y'all work it out, that's fine. Otherwise, she'll go on the December 10th calendar. She'll just come back then.
Okay. Well, we're happy to hear from the state, and I'll have her wait until they can tell me if they're willing to proceed.
Okay.
Well, the offer would be 12 months probation, a fine of $300, 40 hours of community service, and to stay away from the intent location. And I will not be accepting a NOLO on this.
Is that the airport or someplace else?
This was, yes, Hartsfield-Jackson Airport.
Okay. Is there something else going on? Because usually criminal trespass at the airport comes with some other issue.
You know, Judge, this falls, I think, more in the category of she was homeless at the time.
Mhm.
It's not so much in the category of some of the cases we deal with. However,
All right. Well, do this. Tell me her stability plan, and I'm more likely to go the way you want me to, because I know this won't be a recurring thing. Just talk to her, find out if she's got stable housing, if she's seeking it, if she's got support in any way. You just tell me that, you know, kind of figure out if this is going to be a frequent flyer or not.
yes, Your Honor, I can do those things, and I guess we'll hold on that for now.
Okay. Are we ready on Adams?
I'm still waiting for information from the state judge. I mean,
What are you waiting on? I think Ms. Arnold did send you, yeah, she gave you everything. What are you waiting on?
she sent it via email.
If it's for Adams, I walked it down, gave you a copy.
Yeah, it should be on your desk.
Okay. Let me speak to Mr. Adams. I'll have an announcement shortly.
Okay.
Apologize, Judge. I did speak to Mr. Adams today. He's going to enter a not guilty plea to this accusation.
All right, the court is going to recognize his not guilty plea. And the last one is Chapman for the arraignment calendar, and then we can move on to the jail calendar. Mr. Adams?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Adams, 1 second. All right, so Mr. Adams, you've been charged with the battery cases. I know you have a bench warrant, I'm sorry, a bond order. Please do not violate your bond order by having contact with anybody listed on the bond order. Please make sure that if anybody contacts you, either the person directly or on behalf of that person, please make sure you take note and send that information to your attorneys, okay? Because if you were to violate your bond conditions, your bond could be revoked. You could be jailed again until your case is resolved, and you could also be charged with additional misdemeanors or felonies, okay? All right, if you don't have your bond order, you can go downstairs before you leave this building to the first floor clerk's office, the state court clerk's office on the first floor of this building, and get a copy, okay?
You go get my bond order?
I'm sorry?
You get a bond order?
Yeah, you can get a copy of it before you leave the building if you're not sure what it says, okay? All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
All right, keep in touch with your attorneys.
You have my contact?
All right, the last case on the arraignment calendar is Chapman.
Yes, Your Honor, the state is going to knock off that case.
All right, Ms. Chapman, your case will be no pros. You're free to go at this time. Thank you, ma'am. Please be safe.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Chapman.
All right, jail calendar.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be right with you. Or do you want, since I talked and I talked to the friend, he's ready to go, you want to that makes sense. Like, you know,
Attorney Lynch, I'm about to send you a message in the chat regarding an email you sent this morning, so please stand by.
I sent a crazy email.
You sent me an email this morning about one of your clients, so I'm about to respond in the chat to courtroom 304.
Sure.
All right, are we ready on the jail calendar?
Judge, I think we're ready to go through it, yes.
Okay. So I'm just trying to assign. All right, the first case on the calendar, Mr. Argo has two cases, actually. Anthony Eugene Argo Jr.
Yes, Judge. I spoke to Mr. Argo last night. My understanding is that we are going to take the recommendation for the the traffic case, 22 CR 00181. We don't have a negotiated resolution yet for the battery case, but I am going to request a brief conference with Ms. Hagler at the end of the calendar. So that may either be a not guilty or it could be a negotiated resolution today. I just need to speak to her a little bit. Currently, the offer is a year to serve.
Gerard Anthony Bailey.
Judge, that's going to be a plea today.
Kiera Batty, that's a petition.
And Judge, I apologize. I haven't spoken to the females yet.
Okay. Nicholas James Duberry.
Judge, that is going to be a plea. Oh, and that's, I think, what Ms. Hagler was maybe referring to now I remember. That's going to be a plea today, Judge. I just need to determine from
Ronald Lee Durden.
Judge, that, if we can hold on, the state, I believe, is doing a sort of a little investigation here as to how they want to proceed.
We'll probably end up not passing count 5, but how do you want to proceed on counts 1 through 4?
Okay.
On Durden?
On Durden?
Durden only has
Yes.
4 counts.
Yes, it appears that another case was added recently. I'm sorry, another charge was added recently. I think it was false name was added recently to the accusation. So, but we're ready to proceed forward on counts again 1 through 4.
So you understand that, so just let me, did you talk to Ms. Arnold about what we had discussed about this case?
Yes, I have the recommendation in front of me.
But I had a further conversation with Ms. Arnold in the courtroom about this case, and she had indicated that she was going to look into what we had discussed. Is this about the identity of the suspect based on the police report and based on the history with these two individuals? Is that news to you?
I mean, we discussed it this morning.
No.
Okay, is he alleging somebody's using his name?
Yes, Your Honor. There's some confusion about who was arrested, whether it was Ronald Durden or his brother,
I mean, it
James Durden.
pretty clearly
I-
his brother from the police.
Okay, can we pull up the pictures? Can we get the booking photos?
That's what I thought we were working on, and so that's why.
All right, let's get some booking photos. All right, next is Tevin Harris.
Judge, that's going to be a plea today.
This was a saga. All right, Dion Miles.
Yes, Mr. Miles will be a plea today, Your Honor.
Kenyatta Rashay Montgomery.
Judge, I believe that's going to be a plea today.
We haven't spoken to Sheridan on the,
He just told me that. That's all.
Jaquan Dantrell Sheridan.
Judge, we still do need to speak to Mr. Sheridan.
that's a,
Jeffrey Lee Thomas.
Judge, I need to follow up with Mr. Thomas. I conveyed to him the state's offer. I need to follow up with him. If we can just hold on that briefly.
DeMarco Traml.
that will be a plea today, Your Honor.
All right, and Taquanese Shaya Tumbling.
We need to speak with Miss.
You haven't spoken to the females. All right. Jamarius White.
That will be a plea today, Your Honor.
All right, give me a quick breakout room, because I need to talk to, who's representing Harris?
That'll be me, Judge.
Okay, so,
Yeah,
Harris. Let's see. So I'll just, Ms. Hagler, and Mr. Lynch, could y'all go into the court, to the breakout room number 1 and I'll join?
sure.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All right.
And then, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Judge.
No, I was just saying that you all had some pleas that were ready, and then you all had some people that you either need to still talk to or that you weren't ready on. I think like the females. So just let me know what y'all want to do.
So, Ms. Hagler, you had indicated you sent me a message. Did you send that to,
Oh, I was in the process. So for Duberry, were you asking for what count? Because he has 2 counts.
well,
Your email.
so I guess I was asking for concurrent counts if that, but, yeah. I was asking,
Concurrent. Yeah, it is concurrent. I didn't have consecutive.
right.
It's an offer.
So the offer that I saw, and he would be willing to take that, probably shouldn't put my cards on the table, but he would be willing to take that if you're not gonna offer what I had suggested. But what I had was 12 months probation, substance abuse evaluation,
Right, for count 2.
for
Yeah.
count 2. And, but I had asked you to consider, just based on his status, to do the
30 days. The only reason why I'm not agreeing with that is because, again, he had the juggulated objects. So
All
if
right.
I mean, we can do non-negotiated and the judge can,
we'll do negotiated.
okay. And then for the other case, Durden, yeah, because the issue was the identity, that's why I said I'm dismissing count 5, which was the given false name. But your client is saying he didn't commit the family violence. He wasn't arrested for that?
Yes, so if you look
Right.
at the police report, the OLN, the driver's license on the police report is James Durden's. The birth date on the police report is James Durden's. The weight on the police report is James Durden's. So yes. That is the claim. That is
Okay, so I'll look at the booking photo because
right.
if he's saying that he wasn't arrested, then that's fine.
Ms. Hagler, we got a couple of historically, we've had a couple of brothers that interchange each other's names, or one gives the other brother's name consistently. So yeah, I'm not
asking you to take my word for it either.
No, it's worth looking into because this has happened a couple of times on my calendar. And it's been like I had a guy who his brother was giving his name so consistently that he was forever trying to clean up his record, and the brother admitted it on the record that he didn't care. So but yeah, like if we can look at those booking photos and look at what Mr. Durden looks like and see what's going on. And Mr. James, if he has a previous, I'm pretty sure he probably has his own LE number.
Okay. Yes, Ron, I'm doing that right now. Let me get my investigator. Thank you.
All right, now, did you all want to finish speaking with the people so that we can just roll through the pleas?
I think that may be expedient in this case because there's 1 or 2 loose ends I need to tie up as well. But,
all right, so we'll be back when y'all make an announcement.
okay, thank you, Judge.
What's his name?
And Mr. Taylor,
Mr. Taylor.
Sir, what do you need?
I was trying to make sure that I was on the calendar today.
What's your name?
Anthony Moss.
I don't have you, Mr. Moss.
Judge, I want to say he is an individual that is listed on an accusation on a different name. Is that?
Yeah, he's listed, but even his alias isn't on this calendar.
And they told me it was today.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's see what we can do.
Okay.
'Cause no, you missed the date that it was back on and you came today, but it was back on, was it last Tuesday? I remember you weren't here that day we had it listed.
Oh,
So
man.
just hold on, don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Hang tight, I'm gonna see what Mr. Taylor's speaking to someone. I'll grab him to bring his attention to you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a brief announcement. I spoke with both of our violation of probation defendants and Ms. Chang. And Ms. Chang asked if we could handle those matters first. She has some other issues to attend to, so we wanted to get those out of the way quickly. They'll both be stipulations.
Are we ready now?
As soon as Ms. Chang's online, there she is.
Good
All right.
morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Ms. Chang.
We'll bring out Mr. Sheridan. Or Ms. Beatty, either one.
I don't care. Mr. Who?
It will be Ms. Beatty.
Uh-huh.
Hi, Ms. Beatty. So if this goes out, the screen, you can still see the judge up here.
All right, Ms. Beatty, hold on a second. Raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
I do.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Kiera Batty, 2021 CR 00686. You're before the court for a petition for revocation of probation. You were before this court on July 8th, 2024, sentenced to 12 months on probation for simple battery family violence. You have 7 months and 16 days remaining. It says that you failed to avoid injurious and vicious habits. You have the metabolites of alcohol in your system, and you tested for that, positive for that on October 10th of 2024. Says you failed to comply with counseling. You were ordered to go to ASAM level 1 substance abuse treatment, and you haven't documented any classes, and you failed to complete a parenting course as directed. Ms. Beatty, what's going on?
Your Honor, Ms. Beatty has performed 2 of the classes. And as far as the parenting class, when she had her substance abuse initial evaluation and they told her that she needed to do treatment, they instructed her to wait on the parenting class until she had finished her substance abuse treatment class work.
All right, so when did they order the substance abuse treatment and when did she start?
I started, so I did the evaluation. I turned it into Officer Chang. And it took me about a month because of my work schedule to find a facility to work with me. So I started a month later. I had got up to going to the 3rd class, but I couldn't attend because I got arrested. So I may have to start over because it has to be consecutive. But Officer Chang told me to do the drug abuse classes first and then do the parenting course.
So
Okay, now what's about the
classes so far?
Let's talk about the drinking.
It was just a slip up, Your Honor. I had a death in the family and I just messed up.
Every time I say something about alcohol, somebody always tells me that they had a death in the family and they bereaved, and that's why they would tank their whole life just to, because of the bereavement. And I get it's strong, but I mean, ma'am, how many children do you have, Ms. Beatty?
Just one.
And where's your child?
He's at school right now.
Okay, is he in your custody or somebody else taking care of him?
Well, he's in my custody when I'm not here.
Okay, so you would risk being away from your child and going to jail, because obviously y'all don't believe me when I say if you mess up, you're going to end up back here. Or when Ms. Chang says it, or when anybody tells you, if you mess up on your probation conditions, you could be arrested. But so you would risk being away from your child for a drink.
Well, I have done it, but it won't happen again.
You did what?
I said in this instance that it's been done, Your Honor, but it won't happen again.
Because I just really don't understand all y'all punishing your children without thinking. Like as a mother, let me just tell you something. This is my theory. Your children do as well as you do. If you don't do well, your children don't do well. And if you can't think beyond the immediate, like you got to think several steps ahead, because you got to think for you, like anything in this family. I got to think for my kids. I got to think for myself. I got to think for my husband, even though he's grown and can think for himself, because I have the global picture. As a mama, you have the global picture. Like if I drink, I'm gonna go to jail. If I go to jail, then I'm gonna miss my child. I'm gonna miss being with my child. He's gonna miss being with me. I'm gonna miss supervising his activities, making sure his homework is done, making sure he's eating well, that he's being taken care of, that he's wearing clean clothes, that he's not being bullied at school and nobody's following up on it. I'm going to miss my primary job of making sure that he is okay. We clear?
Yes, ma'am, you're absolutely right. 'Cause that's
Well,
exactly-
I'm sure I'm right. I mean, they don't just give this robe to anybody, but I'm just saying, Miss Beatty, how much are you willing to risk?
None.
So we're gonna add some AA classes to whatever the recommendation is.
Okay.
And my understanding is before you start telling me about your job and how you can't do it, they have virtual ones. So you can go to a virtual meeting now. Won't he do it? So Ms. Chang, what's the recommendation for Ms. Beatty?
Your Honor, probation recommends that 12 days be revoked, credit for time served since November 7th, return to probation, and test each report.
And one AA meeting per week.
Yes, Your Honor. I believe that's part of the ASIM Level 1 program that she's in.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
For the
So,
duration of the program, but
yeah. So you need to do the AA meetings as part of ASAM, but you need to show proof that you're attending them to Ms. Chang. We clear, Ms. Beatty?
Yes, ma'am. So
All right.
within the 17?
I'm sorry?
Take your 17 classes, attend AA meetings, one each week for the duration of your classes. And then let Ms. Chang know each time.
For the duration of probation. Now, the ones that are required
yes.
for the classes, that's fine. But for the duration of her probation, she's gonna do one AA meeting per week.
Okay.
And Ms. Chang, you had told me the date for the following report after she is released from custody.
Yes, sir. Ms. Beatty, if you would report this Thursday, November 21st at 9:30 a.m.
Okay.
All right, I'm signing the order and I'll send that over. Defendant shall receive credit for time served. Defendant shall return to probation and complete all of the conditions with, and the added condition will be one AA meeting per week with proof of having attended test at each report.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I did.
Yes.
I did some nursing courses in here. Do it count?
Your Honor, Ms. Beatty is asking me about the parenting courses that she did while she was in custody. If those counted towards her.
If she gets paperwork and can show it to Miss Chang, then Miss Chang can consider it.
The tablet right now is not allowing us to forward anything.
She's, you
There's
what?
a tablet they have in the jail that they do the classes on, but the tablet itself doesn't allow them to forward emails outside the jail.
Okay, well, whoever is the director of the program or who's facilitating the program, ask them if they could get that information to Ms. Chang.
Okay, I'll check.
Because I don't even know, I didn't know they had that program.
They do, Your Honor. They're allowed to sign up and take classes while they're in custody in the jail. The tablet's provided by the jail, but it's distributed among the inmates. Not every inmate has it at every instance or has access to it, but it is something that they do have access to. And I'll look into that.
Okay. All right.
On that, but just start yours. If it means you take fewer classes because we can find proof of it, we'll let Ms. Chang know. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
And I'll look into that. Okay. Yes, please. That was Beatty. And this next will be Mr. Sheridan.
All right, who's next?
Your Honor, they're bringing out Mr. Sheridan now. This is also a violation of probation.
No. It's like all the rules are all have to go through.
Your
All
Honor,
right,
Mr. Sheridan.
Mr. Sheridan, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down, sir. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Jaquan Dantrell Sheridan, 2024 CR 06212. You were before this court for public drunk and theft by shoplifting on the 30th day of July 2024. You were sentenced to 12 months on probation. You have 7 months and 12 days remaining. You failed to avoid injurious and vicious habits. You tested positive for the metabolites of alcohol on October 17, 2024. You failed to comply with counseling. You failed to document proof of completing an anti-theft course, and you failed to pay your $180 in arrears. All right, Mr. Taylor, what's going on with Mr. Sheridan?
Your Honor, Mr. Sheridan has completed the anti-theft class. Once he is able to be released from custody, if allowed to, he will be able to show proof of completing that anti-theft class and provide it to Officer Chang. He does have we do stipulate to the positive test for alcohol and to the arrears amount of $180. Mr. Sheridan does have the money to pay the $180 to catch up on his probation fines and fees. And I'll let Ms. Chang address any other issues.
Ms. Chang?
Your Honor, probation recommends that 6 days be revoked, credit for time served since November 13th, return to probation, and attend 1 AA meeting per week.
And Your Honor, I've informed Mr. Sheridan that he needs to provide proof of that anti-theft class completion to probation immediately upon his release from custody, if that's granted.
Yeah. Mr. Sheridan, how old are you, sir?
30 years old, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Sheridan, what's going to happen to you?
I'm actually going back to work as soon as I get out, if I'm able to.
Okay, I got you, Mr. Sheridan, but I'm talking about like in the big picture, like you're an alcoholic. So what we gonna do about that? You understand, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You clear that you're an alcoholic, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You sure? Because you're not just saying that because you're trying to snow me, because it's not gonna make a difference to me.
I'm not, ma'am. I'm not.
At 30 years old, Mr. Sheridan, you gonna throw your life away behind a bottle. Well, what are we doing?
Oh, man, I'm not trying to do that, man.
I get that, but nobody tries to be an alcoholic. It is something that they do to cope with other things. So when you say, I'm not trying to do that, I get it. You're not trying to do that. But the whole point is you either have an addictive gene, so it's maybe hereditary, or there's something that happened to you that makes it that you wish to forget certain things, or alcohol is a comfort to you. But you gotta, at some point, before you spend your whole life behind a bottle, like there's got to be some point where you just got to say, I've had enough and I need to seek better for myself. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
It is possible to live a life without alcohol, but you got to be willing to do it and you got to fight for it. It's not going to be easy.
It's not.
Yeah,
Okay.
I hope that the AA meetings give Mr. Sheridan some support in that regard.
Yeah, the reason I always say AA is because I can preach to you all day. Everybody's got something. Alcoholism is not my something. But what I say to you is when you go and you sit with the people who have this same affliction and they deal with it every day, and it's just like I tell people, if you have high blood pressure and you just stop and just let it take over you, or if you have diabetes and you gonna eat all the cookies and candy and cake in the world, you're gonna kill yourself. It's the same with alcohol. Alcohol is a killer. Like, it destroys the body, and you don't want that. It destroys the brain, it destroys the body. You don't want that. So what I would say is go to these AA meetings and be open to it. Listen to what other people are going through, and share what you're going through with other people, because that's the true no judgment zone. That's the true place where people are going to tell you their deepest and darkest and why alcohol is something that they turn to. And you can do the same and then find your way out of this. Because at 30 years old, Mr. Sheridan, I don't want you to lose the whole rest of what it could be an amazing life. You got me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I'm going to accept your information. I'll accept the recommendation of probation to give you credit for time served. You're going to return to probation to complete all of the special conditions of probation. You're going to do one AA or NA meeting per week, and you'll show proof of having taken the anti-theft course within 5 days of your release. Okay.
He's here up here. Just come up, just virtual meetings. If you can't go in person, can you go just search AA meetings in Huntsville?
Okay, yeah, he should be picking up with you.
So you'll talk to people locally. If you Google it, just AA or after some of these meetings, virtual channels. And just click on the link. Okay. Is that good?
Yes, sir. Anything else?
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
well, for his next appointment on this Thursday, November 21st at 9:15.
Thursday. So release today, but you're going to report. November 21st, 9:15. Probation report. We've got it.
Thank you.
Is there anything else, Your Honor?
No, that sounds about right for me.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Ms. Chang.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Sheridan.
Okay, do we have any more, do we have any more probation revocation?
Probation's, I believe, Your Honor.
Okay.
That's all I have, Your Honor. May I
All
be
right.
excused?
Yes, ma'am, I'm gonna send it over to you right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Hagler, I spoke with Ms. Tumbling regarding we intend to enter a plea. However, she indicated that at the time of the incident in 2021, her license was valid. She may have a currently suspended license for a failure to appear, but at the, I believe, December 4th of 2020, when the original incident occurred, her license wasn't on her person, but she did have a valid license. So I think you may have access to information, more information than I do on that matter.
She said her license was valid on the other incident.
December 4th of 2020, that's what she's indicated to me. I by that myself.
I can have my investigator look into it. I mean, that was in 2020, so.
In other words, and then
I'll-
please to the balance depending on what you. Finds.
Okay, yeah, I'll have them look into it. So you said tumbling, correct?
Tumbling, yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'll try to get you, I need to know.
Oh, we ready for it. You want me to say, are y'all working on this? I mean, it was as an investigator looking on.
Okay, because I mean, I got pleas that we can go through.
Sure, he did, right? Yes. Go down, it's finished, and Ms. Batty. Should, do the women need to go down separately?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll try and get tumbling finished quickly. Is there any other one besides those?
No, there's
Okay.
we're holding anyway, they're not accepting by downstairs.
Oh, okay.
So we're good. Is that one of them still there?
I have several pleas ready whenever the state and the court are ready to go forward.
I'm ready, Mr. Lynch. Who we got?
We could go ahead and do Gerard Anthony Bailey. Or
All
we could-
right.
We could start with, if you want to just go from the top, we could go Mr. Argo and then Mr.
Okay, let's do Argo.
We're only pleading to the 2022 CR 00181.
Okay, and the traffic offense on the 2024 CR 08987, is that a not guilty?
That's going to be a not guilty for today, Judge, yes.
All right, let's go ahead and.
But he's, just for the court's information, he's held on a VOP. And so we're entering.
For who?
For Argo.
No, I'm saying, is it our VOP
No.
or is it upstairs?
It's upstairs. But so he will be in custody at least until that time. So everybody's clear.
All right, Mr. Argo, this Mr. Argo,
Yes.
raise your right hand for me, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, sir.
All right, you can put your hands down. You're before the court on state of Georgia. One second.
Long time. Yes, sir.
I think I missed somebody. Stevie Payne.
That's at one, Judge. That's a motion to revoke bond at
Oh,
one.
okay, that's at one. All right. Okay, so Mr. Argo, you're before the court on 2022 CR 00181 for driving on a suspended or revoked license, no license, and defective headlights. You're also before the court on 2024 CR 08987 for battery, family violence, battery, simple battery, family violence, that simple battery, criminal trespass, counts 5, 6, and 7. Mr. Argo, on the case 2024 CR 08987, your attorney has indicated you're entering a not guilty plea. I need to remind you that you have bond conditions on your bond order, and those conditions have that you are not to have contact with a particular person, and possibly that you're not to go to a particular location. If you were to violate those bond conditions by having contact or going to that location, you could be rearrested and remain in jail until your cases resolved. You could also be charged with additional misdemeanors or felonies, particularly the felony of aggravated stalking, punishable by up to 10 years in prison, a $10,000 fine, or both. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. What does your client plead to the offenses on case ending 00181?
Judge, well, we're going to plead no contest to count one. And so the state's recommendation, and I try to do this ahead of time. I didn't think, but state's recommendation was to null pros count 2. I think that would still be the case for defective headlights. But so,
okay.
We're
I
gonna
have
ask the
count
court-
1 is suspended or revoked license. Count 2, no license. Count 3, defective headlights.
well, I guess he has been in custody for over a month. We're going to ask the court to give him credit for time served. So I don't know.
Okay.
If the state
Can
wants.
you
Oh,
tell
is
me
this
just what you
non-negotiated?
plead to?
He'll plead no low to count 1. He'll plead guilty to count 3.
Okay, thank you. All right, by entering a plea of no low to count 1 and guilty to count 3, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
And I'm sorry, is this negotiated or non-negotiated?
Well, so I guess it's
I'm getting
non-negotiated.
confused. Okay,
Would have
okay,
been negotiated, but we never got a chance to talk about this one.
okay.
And
Got you.
it's just that he's been in custody and will continue to be in custody. So we're just going to ask for straight time.
Okay, gotcha. On or about, pursuant to the probable cause affidavit in the packet, on or about July 24th of 2021, Officer F. Bernard, Beauunair, Bernard, observed the defendant operate his vehicle without an inoperable right headlight. The defendant also drove his vehicle with a revoked license, the violation date being June 1st of 2024 with a suspension date of July 10th of 2005. The defendant also did admit that he did not have a license and that it was suspended. Officer did inform or confirm the information on GCIC, and the event did occur at Mount Zion Road and Pine Brook Road, Clayton County, Georgia. Your Honor, for count one, the state's recommendation is a fine of $500. For count two, the state is on a no-pause, and for count three, a fine of $100.
All right. How long has he been in jail?
Judge, he's been continually incarcerated for, I believe, 36 days.
Since October.
Or since October the 10th. So that's a month and 5 days, about a month and 5 days approximately, Judge. He's also not going to be, and he has a VOP scheduled, court hearing scheduled for December the 4th. So
All right.
that's the court to give him 30 days credit for time served, Judge.
All right, so on count one, no, the court will accept your nolo. Count three, the guilty plea. Counts 1 and 3 will, the court will suspend the, or will give you credit for time served in lieu of the $500 fine on count 1 and the $100 fine on count 3, because it is not likely you will be out anytime soon. All right, so Mr. Argo, you can go back with the sheriff's office. Please remember what I said about your bond conditions, okay?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Who's next?
Judge, we can do Gerard Anthony Bailey.
That's fine.
And Ms. Hagler, for Mr. Bailey, just to make sure I conveyed this appropriately. The recommendation, the intent is that these run concurrent. Is that accurate?
Yeah, 2 cases. Only has one case.
Well, yeah, it's 4 counts, and you have.
Oh, gotcha. Yes.
Okay. And we're,
Yes.
We ready? What we're waiting for?
they're still bringing Mr. Bailey, but we're ready.
All right, raise your right hand for me, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Gerard Anthony Bailey for count 1, stop or yield sign violation, count 2, license not on person, count 3 and 4, giving a false name, address, or date of birth, case 2021 CR 02192. Mr. Lynch, what does your client plead to the offenses before the court?
Judge, he pleaded no contest to count 1, guilty to count 2, no contest to counts 3 and 4.
All right, by entering a plea of nolo to counts 1, 3, and 4, and guilty to count 2, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Pursuant to the information in the packet, on or about December 14th of 2020, Officer Eric Thomas did provide the defendant several citations while traveling in Woodstock Lane and Whitworth Drive, Clayton County, Georgia. The defendant received citations for failure to come to a stop sign, for failure to exhibit his license on demand, for giving a false name, address, or date of birth, and also those are the citations. Those are citations in the packet, Your Honor. For count 1, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 20 days. Count 2, 12 months to serve, 20 days. and also committed time served for these as well. Count 3, 12 months to serve 20 days, and then count 4, 12 months to serve 20 days, all to run concurrent and committed time served.
All right.
And we can do balance suspended.
Thank you. That was my understanding, and we would just ask the court to accept that.
All right, sir, I'm going to accept your plea to count 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll send you on count 1 to serve 12 months to serve 20 days credit for time served. Balance suspended. On counts 2, 3, and 4, it will be the same sentence. Counts 2, 3, and 4 will run concurrent with count 1. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, you're welcome, sir. You can go back with the sheriff's office. Keep your documents right, sir, and don't give anybody else's name because it's too easy to figure out who you are. If we can get into your phone with a fingerprint or a face print, it's not hard to figure out who you are. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks again, Your Honor.
All right. Take care, sir. All right. Next.
We can do Nicholas Duberry.
Okay. Any issues?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
And is this negotiated, right, Attorney Lynch? Duberry?
Yes, we're gonna accept the state's the
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I was just looking for.
Probably don't have that on this group.
All right, Mr. Duberry, raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court on 2024 CR 08856 for loitering or prowling and drug-related objects. What is your client plead to the offenses before the court, Mr. Lynch? I'm sorry.
We'd ask Nolo, please.
All right, by entering a plea of no load to counts 1 and 2, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. You understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Pursuant to the probable cause affidavit in the packet on or about November the 3rd of 2024, Officer J. Askew responded to 1130 Highway 138 Southeast Jonesboro, Clayton County, Georgia. Upon his investigation, the defendant did commit the offense of loitering and prowling, as the call was in reference to a suspicious person. The defendant did unlawfully entered the backyard of a vacant residence. Also, the defendant was observed moving items from the yard of the residence into the woods. And upon a search incident to arrest, the defendant did have a meth pipe in his pocket. Now, at this time, for count one, the state's recommendation is 12 months probation. For count two, 12 months probation to run concurrent with count one. The defendant is to complete the substance abuse evaluation and treatment and follow our recommendations. The defendant is to submit to random drug screens, to have no drugs or alcohol, and to attend one NA meeting per week.
All right. Mr. Lynch, is your client a good probation candidate?
Well, Judge, we had discussed, alternatives to probation. However, Mr. Can I have one moment?
Sure.
Judge, I do think Mr. Duberry is probably not the greatest probation candidate, based on his history and his living situation at this time. I know I indicated that it was going to be a negotiated plea, but I would ask, rather than place him on probation and set him up for failure, I'll ask the court to consider giving him 30 days credit for time served, or credit for the time that he has served. I don't think he served 30 days yet. I think he served about 2 weeks. But I've explained to him what the ramifications are going forward.
So he would have to serve an additional 2 weeks?
If it's day for day, even about 2 weeks, right?
15 days.
15 days. So if it was day for day, that would be the case. I don't know whether what he's getting. She knows what I'm at.
Has he been on probation before?
No, I'm not sure if he's been on probation with us before, Judge. I know that he has had other probation sentences in his history. I don't believe he's in. He didn't get probation.
No, I got 2 years served.
Oh, it was served. Yeah.
Does he have a job?
Judge, he's recently, he does not currently have a job.
Then he can do probation. We're gonna try it. Mr. Duberry, I'm gonna accept your plea of no law. I'll send you to 12 months probation to take substance abuse evaluation and any treatment that may be ordered. You're to have no alcohol or illicit drugs during the course of your probation. You're subject to random screens for alcohol and drugs. You'll take one AA or NA meeting per week and show proof of having attended the AA or NA meeting per week. Count two will run concurrent with count one, and that will also be 12 months probation. All right, you're gonna meet with probation today. Mr. Duberry, let's see if we can't get you on a roll call straight, as my grandmother would say. Because sir, this drug addiction is gonna take you down, and I'm sure that there's some people in your life who would rather see you up and moving. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can go back with the sheriff's office. All right, who's next?
Judge, if we could do Jeffrey Lee Thomas.
Thomas, that's fine. So this is who I have left. Durden, Harris, Miles, Montgomery, Thomas, Traml, Tumbling, and White.
Right.
Attorney Lynch, I did send you an email. If you didn't get it, I can send you my question in the chat if you didn't get it. No, not in regards to Mr. Thomas, your other client.
Oh, I see. I'll answer you.
Okay, thank you.
This is negotiated.
We ready? This is Mr. Thomas.
Yes,
Raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so Mr. Thomas, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus Jeffrey Lee Thomas, 2024 CR 08985 for battery, count 1, simple battery, count 2, simple battery, count 3. What does your client plead to the offenses before the court?
Guilty to count 1, guilty to count 3. Count 2 should merge, I believe.
All right, by entering a plea of guilty to counts 1 and 3, count 2 will merge. You give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes.
All right, speak up for me.
Yeah, yes, Your
All
Honor.
right, all right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about October 22nd of 2024, Officer Watts responded to 9157 Terra Boulevard, Clayton County, Georgia, at the MARTA bus stop regarding a disturbance. During his investigation, it was determined that the defendant did intentionally cause substantial physical and visible injury to Jesse Howard. The defendant punched Howard with a closed fist to the back of the left ear. The defendant also intentionally made physical contact with Floyd Denmark by punching the victim in the right side of his rib cage, causing pain. Your Honor, the state's recommendation at this time for count 1, 12 months to serve, 20 days, community time served, balance suspended. The defendant is to not have no contact with the victim and to not return to the incident location, 9157 Terra Boulevard, the MARTA bus station. Count 2 is going to merge, and for count 3, it is going to be 12 months to serve, 20 days, community time served, balance suspended. Again, no contact with the victim and to not return to the incident location, and this will be concurrent. Again, the victim's names is Jesse, Jesse Howard, and Floyd, Floyd Denmark, D as in David, Enmark.
Okay, Mr. Lynch.
Your Honor, I would ask the court to accept the plea as negotiated. From speaking to Mr. Thomas, and he did ask me to let the court know this. He has numerous diagnoses or
Diagnoses.
diagnoses. However, he certainly understands his rights in this case. He's an intelligent young man, but he struggles. He has mental health struggles, and that played into how this situation unfolded. But he is taking accountability. He does understand that he has to take steps to address his issues. And is there anything else you want me to add to that?
All right. I'm going to accept your plea of guilty to counts 1 and 3. Count 2 will merge. I'll sentence you to 12 months to serve 20 days credit for time served. Balance will be suspended as long as you have no contact with Jesse Howard and you do not go to 9157 Terra Boulevard, MARTA Station. You also will, on count 3, 12 months to serve 20 days credit for time served, balance suspended as long as you have no contact with Floyd Denmark and you do not go back to 9157 Terra Boulevard, the MARTA Station. Count 3 will run concurrent with count 1. You can go back with the sheriff's office, Mr. Thomas. Next.
We could do Tevin Harris, Your Honor.
Is this negotiated as well?
Yes, yes, the recommendation I had was 30 days to serve, credit for time served.
Okay.
All right, raise your right hand for me, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and this is Mr. Harris.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you put your hand down.
Oh.
Mr. Harris, you're before the court on State of Georgia versus Tevin Harris, 2021 CR 00381 for disorderly conduct. You're represented by Attorney Owen Lynch. Mr. Lynch, what does your client plead to the offense before the court?
No contest, Your Honor.
All right. By entering a plea of nolo, Mr. Harris, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about December the 14th of 2020, Officer J. Rowe, R-O-E, responded to 11 Upper Riverdale Road, Riverdale, Georgia, Clayton County, also known as the Southern Regional Hospital, in reference to a disturbance. According to the police report, this was Officer Rowe's return call to his previous call earlier in the day. While en route back to the hospital, dispatch advised that the defendant was on the line with dispatch and stated, if someone is not here in 2 minutes, I will start spitting on everyone. This was after the defendant called already claiming that he was not being treated at the hospital during the previous call. This was also after Officer Joe had already spoke with the defendant and advised him that he needed to be calm and patient so that the hospital could treat him and that he needed to follow the guidelines of the hospital. The defendant was on a recorded line with 911 dispatch operators while threatening to commit the act of simple battery regarding spitting on people. Your Honor, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 30 days, balance suspended.
All right, Mr. Lynch.
Judge, I would ask that the court accept that negotiated resolution in this case.
All right, Mr. Harris, are you working?
You can answer.
Ma'am.
Mr. Harris, Mr. Harris, are you working?
No, ma'am.
All right, are you, in like a treatment program or anything?
No, ma'am.
Well, who do you live with, sir?
My mom.
I'm sorry, with who?
My mom.
Okay. All right, 12 months, 30 days, credit for time served, balance will be suspended as long as you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, you can go back to the sheriff's office.
Today?
Yes, you should. All right. You got hold of the letter there. We could. Hey, we do a couple here, please, real quick. I need to absolutely verify that. Who do you got? Can you do Mr. Traml? Yes. Can we we'll do DeMarco Traml? I just need to
Okay,
verify something before anything else.
Your Honor, whenever you're ready, the state does have an announcement regarding, page 4, Durden.
all right, I'm ready.
After doing some further investigation, the state at this time is going to non-pros that case.
All right, case, the court will sign no process once I get it.
Thank you, Judge.
This is what I'm always talking about. Folk giving false name, address, or date of birth, they gonna hem somebody up and it's not gonna be pretty.
This is Judge.
Woo.
And,
All right, raise your right hand for me, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true?
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. You're before the court. Is this Mr. DeMarco Traml?
Yes.
All right, you're before the court on 2024 CR 08984 for theft by shoplifting, obstruction of a law enforcement officer, a second obstruction of an officer, and disorderly conduct. Mr. Taylor, what does your client plead to the offenses before the court?
Your Honor, he pleads guilty to count 1, theft by shoplifting, and to counts 2 and 3 of obstruction. We plead no contest.
Okay, count 4.
I believe count 4 is to be null pros.
All right. By entering a plea of guilty to count 1 and no load to counts 2 and 3, sir, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, Mr. Traml?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Traml, how old are you?
18.
Okay. All right, Ms. Hagler, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about October 29th of 2024, pursuant to the probable cause affidavit completed by Officer N. Sandrich, SANDRICH, the defendant did commit the offense of shoplifting when he consumed food on the sales floor that had not been paid for. The defendant also did commit the offense of obstruction when he fled law enforcement as well, as he had to be forced to put his hands behind his back when instructed to do so. The defendant also committed the act of disorderly conduct when the defendant continued to act belligerent when placed in handcuffs as he was escorted to the Asset Protection Office. Lastly, the defendant did commit the offense of obstruction when the defendant refused to identify himself when instructed. Your Honor, at this time for count 1, the state's offer is 12 months to serve, 20 days, community time served, balance suspended. The defendant is to not return and to stay away from all Walmarts. In this case, the Walmart was at 7050 Highway 85, Riverdale, Georgia 30274, but is asked to stay away from all Walmarts in Clayton County. Count 2, 12 months to start, 20 days, balance suspended to run concurrent with count 1. Count 3, 12 months to serve, 20 days, balance suspended to run concurrent with counts 1 and 2, and the state is going to not cross count 4.
All right. Mr. Taylor, tell me why this 18-year-old is running the streets instead of being at home doing something productive.
Your Honor, I do not have an answer to that question.
Mr. Traml, who you live with?
Myself,
Okay, how long have you been out of your parents' house?
since May,
You working a job?
I plan to.
I'm sorry?
I plan to.
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Not at this.
Okay. Do you have any support?
I'm finna go to an address where they said they give out a waiver for ID and SSN, so I can get a job.
I'm sorry, I can't. What did he say?
He's going. He received an address from jail staff so that he can go obtain a social security number
And ID.
and identification so that he can apply for jobs, because currently he doesn't have the social security number, or at least have the card in his possession, so he has difficulty applying for jobs.
Okay. Does your family live here, or are they out of state somewhere?
They live here.
Okay, so I get the situation. So Mr. Traml, go ahead and take advantage of this program and get your ID, sir, so you're not just wandering around out here. I understand that it is hard. I talk all the time about, parents letting their kids go out into the world, but that is usually with the understanding that their parents are going to be there to help catch them if they fall. In this case, sir, it might just be you. And if you find somebody who's willing to support you in your journey and willing to help you get to that next step, okay, just make sure that you give them the respect and the gratitude for helping you. Because if you don't have your family as a fallback, but somebody's willing to step in and kind of be there for you, then appreciate that person, okay?
All right.
All right. And I'm going to be praying for you because this is a hard thing to navigate at this age. But do get your documents and secure those documents, because those are going to be the most important things for you.
All right.
All right.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to accept your plea of guilty on count 1, NOLO on counts 2 and 3. I'll send you to 12 months, 20 days, credit time served, balance suspended as long as you don't go back to any Walmart in Clayton County during the course of these 12 months. Counts 2 and 3 will be the same sentence and run concurrent with count 1. Okay. All right, Mr. Traml, take care, and I hope somebody good finds you, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good luck.
All right, who's next?
Your Honor, when the deputy returns, I'm going to ask him to bring up Mr. Miles.
Okay. All right, so we still have Miles, Montgomery, Tumbling, and White.
Attorney Taylor,
Oh,
regarding.
Mr. Moss is still on here, and my understanding, I'm sorry, Ms. Hagler, I didn't mean.
No worries.
My understanding is, unless I'm wrong, and Ms. Val and Ms. Arnold will correct me if I am, that he missed the court date when he was supposed to be here. He wasn't here, and it was under the alias which is really a long name. But yeah, Mr. Moss, AKA whatever the calendar name is. So
Yes, I'm
let's try and
still,
see. And then my understanding too, Mr. Lynch had Miss Brown. If we're gonna put her on the 10th, that's fine. But if we can deal with it today, that's fine too. Oh.
We're prepared to go forward with the plea. She's here. We're absolutely ready to go forward with the plea, whether that's.
All right, that's fine. I just don't have any of the information, so y'all gonna have to put it on the record.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, this is Mr. Miles. Raise your right hand for me, sir. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can put your hand down, Mr. Miles. You're before the court on State of Georgia versus Dion Miles for count 1, driving under the influence, and count 2, no tag, expired or invalid tag. This is a case 2021 CR 06892. Mr. Miles was on for a bond forfeiture calendar for April of 2025, but he is here. He failed to appear on the November 4th, 2024 calendar call. All right, so Mr. Miles, Mr. Taylor, what is your client plea to the offenses before the court?
Your Honor, to the first count of driving under the influence, my client pleads guilty. To the second count of no tag or expired tag, I was informed by the client's grandmother that he no longer owns that car. She is present in the courtroom. I just wonder if that makes a difference to the solicitor's recommendation. If not,
That's fine. The state cannot cross count 2.
Okay.
thank you.
By entering a plea of guilty, Mr. Miles, how old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay. By entering a plea of guilty, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about February 13th of 2021, Officer J. Lynn, Lin, did observe the defendant operate a gold Mazda while under the influence of marijuana. The defendant operated an unregistered vehicle, admitting to smoking marijuana on that day. He also operated the vehicle while having slurred speech, glassy eyes, as well as blurry vision. Your Honor, at this time, the state's recommendation, and the incident did occur in Clayton County at 240 Flint River Road. The state's recommendation is for count 1, DUI less safe, 12 months to serve 1 day, balance probated, a fine of $500, 40 hours of community service. The defendant is to complete the substance abuse evaluation and treatment and to follow all recommendations, to submit to random alcohol and drug screens, no drugs or alcohol, to complete the DUI risk reduction program, and to attend the MAD victim panel. And the state is going to not cross count 2.
All right, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Your Honor. We accept the state's recommended sentence. However, Your Honor, Mr. Miles has been in custody for 6 days, and that's basically for the FTA from the trial calendar. He did appear at his arraignment calendar, but I believe there was some problem with notice on the trial calendar. And indeed, I did not have his phone number. I was looking all over for it and could not find it in the court records or in our appointment records. So when I reached out to him, I had no way of getting in touch with him at that time. So he's
Okay.
in custody, not intentionally trying to miss or purposefully, willfully missing the previous calendar. He just failed to get subsequent appropriate notice. So
Okay, but Mr. Tinkler, the way you spin that is not the way I see it. When you have a case pending, it is your responsibility as the person that the case is on to make sure that you update the court with your current information. And until such time as the court releases you from the consideration of that case, then it is your responsibility. So the reason he missed his court date was because him, not you. He should have changed his information. He should have made sure we had an address where he could be reached. Mr. Miles, you 23 years old, sir. So you're grown at this point. Are you working?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you working?
I work at a temp warehouse right now because I do like temporary work for the hurricane relief program.
Okay. You graduated from high school.
Yes, ma'am.
You gonna get a degree or a trade program? What's going on? What's your plan?
I want to go back to school.
Okay, to do what?
Be an anesthesiologist or something, or nursing, RN or something or other. My dad recommended anesthesiologist, so I was looking at that.
Okay, and they looking for nurse. In fact, I just checked in with a friend of mine. He's a nurse out in California, does NICU nursing. Came out of the Army with those skills, and so just amazing. But sir, you got to make choices. You got to make better choices. You got me? 23 years old, everything you do from this point forward counts in every way. So you got to make better choices. Now, this is where you start showing that you can be responsible and that you can make better choices, because this ain't gonna be easy for you to do this probation, but you need to get it done. So the probation is gonna, your sentence is 12 months to serve 1 day credit for time served. The balance will be probated for you to pay a fine in the amount of $500. Now that's going to be closer to $1,000 because on a DUI, the fines are enhanced, but that's your responsibility. Don't go running to grandma to have her pay it, because grandma's babies, I know how that works. I was partially raised by grandma, and I'm gonna tell you right now, they'll give you their last. They'll put up their house. They'll do all that they can for you, but that is not her responsibility. You understand me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. 40 hours of community service. Find a place to do it where it will align with something that you want to do in life. Learn something. Substance abuse evaluation and any treatment that may be ordered. You're going to take your substance abuse evaluation. If they order treatment, take it. They probably won't. In most cases, they do not. But you have to take the evaluation. You're to have no alcohol or illicit drugs during the course of your probation. And I cannot stress this enough, because some people today have thought that I was playing or something, but we do test you. And if you test positive, you're going to be right here back in front of me, talking to me, and we're going to have a different conversation. So you're to do a risk reduction program and one MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving Impact panel. If you have ever seen the aftermath of somebody driving drunk and then it results in a collision, there's, in fact, this weekend, I don't know if the person was drunk, but I can't figure out any other reason for it. But 24-year-old girl lost her license because somebody was, I don't know if it was her or if it was the other person who was killed, was wrong way collision on the expressway. 24 years old, just because of irresponsibility. You, sir, are 23 years old, and now is the time when you have to start thinking about your future and making responsible decisions. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, and grandma, you can support him, but this is not your burden to bear. Don't pay it. Don't do it. Don't remind him. Don't do any of that, because he's got to grow up and live in this world as a grown person. We clear?
Your Honor,
all right.
She's acknowledging.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So I'm going to accept your plea. And you'll go to probation intake. Let me just say this, Mr. Miles. The quickest way to get rearrested is to not appear for probation. Your probation officers here will go to bat for you. If they think they can help you in any way, they will come to me and ask, can they do something different if you're having difficulty with anything? But you got to have a good relationship with them. And that means you got to report as directed. We clear?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You can go back with the sheriff's office. They're going to do your probation intake.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Mr. Miles. I want to see you be great.
Thank you.
All right. Montgomery, Tumbling and White.
Okay. You want to do white or do Montgomery? Okay. We go ahead and do Mr. Montgomery, but Ms. Haler, did you see my chat from Taz's computer on Mr. Montgomery?
I responded back to his computer, but that's fine. That was my response. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Montgomery. And after Mr. Montgomery, if the court's ready, we could go ahead and do Ms. LaFay Brown in the audience. And then I think Taz should be ready to close us out.
And Brown is negotiated, right? Or is it non? Brown?
I think it was non-negotiated, but let me verify that with her.
Oh, okay, okay.
From you, it should be, if it's not on your property, I don't know what's up. Right, I guess it's an evidence. Okay, so we can talk to your attorney. Yes, but I mean, we're not the court.
Mr. Montgomery.
Yeah.
All right. You're before the court on 2024 CR 09044. Kenyatta Rashay Montgomery for obstruction of an officer. You're represented by Mr. Owen Lynch. Mr. Montgomery, Mr. Lynch, I'm sorry, what is your client plea to the offense before the court?
Nolo.
All right, by entering a plea of no contest, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about December the 11th of 2023, while on a disturbance reference call, Officer Brandon Green did make contact with the defendant, who was a wanted person at that time. Officer Green confirmed the warrant, and it was confirmed to be valid out of Riverdale Police Department through GCIC. Before the defendant could be placed into custody, he resisted arrest and fled the scene after already being instructed he was under arrest. The defendant ran through the apartment complex at the incident location, where Officer Green began to pursue him on foot. The defendant managed to get away by jumping a fence, cutting through Ashwood apartment complex. During the chase, the defendant, a warrant at that time was taken out for the defendant, as officer was not able to catch up with the defendant. Your Honor, at this time in the incident location was 330-B as in boy 20AF, Arrowhead Boulevard, apartment B20AF, Jonesboro, Clayton County. Your Honor, at this time, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 10 days, cumulative time served, balance suspended, a fine of $300 to be suspended, and the defendant is to have no further violations of the law.
All right, I'm confused. Like, why was he running? What was going on?
He was wanted.
Mr.
was wanted.
Montgomery, how old are you, sir?
Ma'am,
How old are you?
36.
Mr. Montgomery, you was running like a track star. I mean, you better than me, because I don't know at 36 that I could have done all that. But what I'm gonna ask you, sir, is this the life you want for yourself?
Most definitely not.
Okay, can we get it together, sir?
I wish I could really elaborate to you right quick. Just
No, I don't want you to, but what I want you to understand is that we are where we are because of the choices we make in life. If you make good choices, you usually end up in a good place. If you make bad choices, you usually end up in a bad place. So when I say, if you were wanted for something, you could have worked that out and like gone ahead and turned yourself in and got that figured out before you picked this up, because you running from the police is a no-win situation. You got me?
yes,
If
ma'am.
you're wanted for something, and I tell people this all the time, you can turn yourself in and control the situation. So that if you come in, you can already have talked to an attorney, you can get an attorney appointed to you when you come in, but you can control how that works. Not you in your pajamas on a Saturday morning and your kids there watching TV in front of you, and then they got to see daddy run out the door. Not that I'm saying that's what happened, but what I'm saying is this was not a controlled situation. And when you have a situation where you're wanted for something, it could go really, really bad. So deal with the stuff that is out there. If you know something is pending, go deal with it. Stop running. Don't spend the rest of your life running. You got me?
Yes, ma'am. I do.
Okay. And I know it's more complicated than I can understand right now, but I don't want you to mess up whatever you got going on aside from this. But I do tell you is think about your choices. Even if it's somebody else using your name, if you go and handle the situation as opposed to somebody coming to find you, it can work out a whole lot better. You understand?
Most definitely do.
All right, because you jumping fences and you don't know what could have happened to you. 12 months to serve 10 days, credit for time served, balance will be suspended, $300 fine will be suspended for time served, okay?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Mr. Montgomery. I want to see you do better.
May I ask you a question?
I'm sorry?
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Will I receive my property back?
You should. If it's in property, you should get it back. I have this rule. I don't control the sheriff. They do what they do. But my understanding is when you are arrested, they're required to hold your property, and that once you're finished, you get your property back. That's all I know.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Unless it's illegal property. Now, I'm not saying that if you had a blunt in there or something, you might not get that back. I'm just saying.
The cell phone.
All right. I'm just messing with you. Go ahead, Mr. Montgomery. They should give you back what you had, okay?
Thank you for talking to me too. Thank you for that.
No problem, Mr. Montgomery. I want to see everybody win. Okay? All right.
Listen, I'm going.
Mr. White?
All right, last two.
All right, yeah. And then we have Mr.
Well, last two on the calendar.
Yes, Your Honor. He's going to get, the deputy's going to get the last two, or the last
Okay.
jail cases, I'm guessing, one by one.
I mean, it seems like it's bad, but I feel a lot worse. I feel a lot of people. Yeah, the calendar is a little bit tough.
Attorney Taylor, regarding tumbling, we did not have anything showing where your client had a valid license during that time.
Okay, was it suspended? Do you know, or?
It wasn't coming back on GCIC when they ran it.
We are still entering a plea. It'll be a no plea to that charge then.
Is this gonna be negotiated or non-negotiated for tumbling?
I probably, given the fines involved.
You said non?
I would have to speak to her briefly, but yes, I anticipate
Okay.
non just because of the fines and the fact that she's been in custody a little bit of time.
Okay, and then we're also asking for restitution as well. I'll put the amount in the chat, in the courtroom chat. Since it was a hit and run. So I'll put that in there to the courtroom. You can see how much restitution we're asking for.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Your Honor, we're ready to proceed with Mr. White. So the judge is going to appear. She'll appear when she starts talking. So she'll show up right there.
I'm sorry. Okay, who we talking to?
Your Honor, this is Mr. White.
Okay,
And
Mr. White, is that your preferred pronoun?
No, I prefer Mrs. I'm trans.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. I'm trans.
Okay. All right. So, ma'am, you're before the court for Jameris White, 2024 CR 09002 for prostitution. Your Mr. Taylor, what is your client entering a plea to?
My client pleads nolo if the court will accept, and we will also stipulate to the factual basis.
All right. Ms. Hagler, what's the recommendation? They're going to stipulate to the facts.
Is this non-negotiated?
My understanding was y'all had a plea, so a negotiated plea, but I just didn't need to hear the facts of it.
Okay, because I mean, Nolo wasn't part of that. That's why I was asking.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, Your Honor, if the state wishes to put their recommendation on the record, it will go non-negotiated in the matter.
Okay. How old is Ms. White? How old are you, ma'am?
25 as of now, 26 next month.
Okay. All right. 26. Is there a record I need to know about, or is this a one-off?
No, this is my first time. I'm in trouble.
Not you. I'm not talking to you, ma'am. I'm talking to the other people.
Your Honor, going through her criminal history, I did not see, this does appear to be her only arrest.
All right, so Ms. Hagler, with your indulgence, I'd like to take a no-go if we could, just because I kind of, these situations tend to be based on a lot of other underlying issues.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. So what's the recommendation?
Yes, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 30 days balance probated, community time served, a fine of $500, 50 hours of community service, and she is to have no further violations of the law.
Okay.
And Your Honor, Ms. White has been in custody since October 10th, 40 days.
Ooh.
Yes. We're just asking for a time served sentence. I've spoken with her. She's currently not working. One of the reasons she's not working is she has no ID and is homeless. She needs some assistance with that. getting the ID, getting the social security number like the other gentleman we spoke with, the young man. She has no family support anywhere that she can go to here.
All right. So Ms. White, I'm going to accept your plea. I'll send you the credit for time served. Balance will be suspended as long as you have no new violations of the laws of the state of Georgia. There is a program, I believe it's run through the Clayton Center. Maybe I'm not sure. I don't like to say it because I may be getting it wrong, but I know they have the information in the jail where they can help you get your ID documents, because that's going to be necessary for almost anything that you have to do, especially working and taking care of yourself. There are also some other programs around for assistance with trying to find housing and that kind of thing. So please make sure you ask those questions before you leave the jail, okay?
It's on Alphatera Boulevard on Battle Creek. So you should be able to access it by a bus. You can get a bus pass by showing proof of incarceration after they process you out, so you can get a MARTA bus pass, and talk in the jail to those folks to see if they can locate you some other resources, because there should be a person, not like a therapist or anything, but just a person that can assist. And if they can't, or if they recommend you go to the Clayton Center, that's a place that provides therapy. And
I think that's where they have the ID assistance, right, Ms.? Yeah.
I haven't looked into that, but that would not surprise me, because I'm certain that
I think the judges in magistrate court have worked with them to set up a program, so through the Clayton Center, to help people get their IDs. Ms. White, the number one thing is be safe out here, okay?
Thank you. I will.
All right. It is very important that you prioritize your safety in every situation. Think it through, because sometimes, you know, I know when you're out on the street trying to survive, sometimes the survival becomes more important for the right now, but you got to think about your safety and how you, and putting yourself in certain situations. Okay. All right. So, yeah, go get your ID. All right. Keep your head up.
take care of yourself. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Now, tumbling, last one.
Yes. So Ms. Hagler, you said that Ms. Tumbling, there was no proof on her driving history of having a valid license in December.
Correct. Right. And it came, we didn't, when they ran her information, it didn't come back as having a license on file. And I did put the restitution in the chat for you for that case.
So, okay, this is.
Yeah, she hit a county car.
A county car?
Mm-hmm. Government car, government vehicle.
Has Miss or Mr. Watts provided any documentation of the financial?
Yes, I can send that to you. It was a total loss. So to the vehicle. So yes, I can forward you that email. It was a total loss to the vehicle.
Okay.
So yeah.
So
1 second. Let me
find this. We're ready to proceed, Your Honor.
Is this non or negotiated?
We were just gonna ask for a reduced fine, but otherwise we're entering.
Okay.
a plea to count 1 and a no-low plea to count 2, and well, no-low to all 3 counts.
Okay, so non-negotiated. Okay. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Tumbling, you're before the court on 2021 CR 06776 for Taquanese Shaye Tumbling. Count 1, no license. Count 2, hit and run accident, and count 3, failure to yield the right of way. Mr. Taylor, you're entering, your client is entering a plea of no to counts 1, 2, and 3. Is this correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, by doing so, Ms. Tumbling, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you are not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things?
Yes.
All right, factual basis and recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about December 4th of 2020, Sergeant Nash with the Georgia Department of Public Safety was dispatched to a crash on North Main Street at Hunt Road, Clayton County, Georgia, involving a Clayton County police unit. Upon arrival, he was able to determine that the defendant was attempting to travel from a private parking lot located west of North Main Street to Hunt Road. However, the defendant failed to yield to traffic while crossing the roadway, striking the Clayton County Police Unit with his front right bumper. The defendant did exit her vehicle and approached the officer and began to speak with him. After the defendant spoke with the officer, the defendant ran to her vehicle and then fled from the scene. Due to the significant damage on the officer's vehicle, he was unable to pursue the defendant. Approximately 1 hour after completing the crash investigation, Sergeant Nash was notified by the Jonesboro Police Department that they had received a 911 call advising that the defendant was involved in a hit and run with a black vehicle and was at the Kroger parking lot. Upon arriving to Kroger, the Jonesboro Police Department had detained the defendant. At that time, the defendant was asked for her name, which identified herself, and her date of birth as well. The defendant advised that she was delivering DoorDash and was distracted while attempting to cross North Main Street towards Hunt Road and was unable to see the Clayton County Police Unit. At that time, the defendant was asked if she was the driver of the car, to which she stated yes. After entering the defendant's information into GCIC, it was revealed that she was unlicensed. At that time, the defendant was arrested and transported, and she attempted to kick out the patrol car window while being transported to the Clayton County Police Department. After arriving at the Clayton County Police Detention Center, the defendant continued to kick the window. At that time, she was released and she was processed. Your Honor, at this time, the state is asking you to not accept the no-low plea given the seriousness of the facts. Again, this was a hit and run involving a police unit. And then also, when she was being transported, she did try to kick out, the patrol car's window. For count 1, the state's recommendation is 12 months to serve, 2 days, community time served, balance suspended, a fine of $500 for count 1. For count 2, 12 months to serve, 2 days, community time served, balance probated, a fine of $500. The defendant is to complete the defensive driving course. And for count 3, a fine of $100.
All right, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Your Honor. First, I'd like to point out that this occurred approximately 4 years ago. And in that time, Ms. Tumbling has not been obviously committing other infractions. She did fail to appear at her arraignment this March. So there's been 3 intervening years since the issue happened or this incident occurred, and her first appearance in the courtroom. When she was originally arrested back in 2020, she served 3 days in custody. She has since served an additional 7 days in custody. We feel that while I will take Ms. Hagler's word at the no license, that's why we're going to enter a NOLO plea and do the $500 fine. We would ask that you consider suspending the fine on the hit and run accident based on her time in custody. We do feel that a defensive driving program through state of Georgia would be appropriate in this situation. And likewise, the fine for failure to yield on roadway, that's the typical fine for that. So we have no contest with that.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I do have one alibi. After speaking to Ms. Jackson, she is actually with the Clayton County Risk Administrative Office. The state is also requesting restitution in the amount of $4,850. According to Ms. Jackson, the damages revealed a total loss of the vehicle. And so the fair market value of the vehicle at this point, being in good condition, we're requesting a restitution amount of $4,850, given the total loss of the vehicle. Thank you.
Okay. In the matter of the restitution, defense would request a hearing in that matter. This is the first.
The what?
Request a hearing. We do later accept a restitution amounts with request.
How old is Ms. Tumbling?
Your age?
22.
Lord. And she was 17 driving for Uber at the time of this happened.
DoorDash, Your Honor.
DoorDash. Lord have mercy.
Well, this was the height of the pandemic.
Yeah, they were just trying to get anybody to get us fed. So, Ms. Tumbling, are you currently working?
Yes.
What you doing?
I work for UPS. I work
Okay.
tractor trailer, move boxes.
Loading.
Okay. So on count 1, I'll accept your NOLO. I'll send you to 12 months to serve 2 days credit for time served. Balance will be suspended. The $500 fine will be suspended for credit for time served. On count 2, which will run concurrent with count 1, no, 12 months to serve 2 days credit for time served. The balance will be probated for you to pay a fine in the amount of $500, $737.50. A driver improvement course, and the restitution to be determined. We'll set another date for that. Miss Brenda, is Miss Brenda still on? Yeah, Miss Brenda, if you could set that on a video calendar date, that way it'll be easier for Miss Tumbling to appear. Then you could just put that on an arraignment calendar on a Tuesday, maybe a month out.
Will the December 10th date work, Judge?
I think December is getting 10th is getting a little crowded. Plus, we need to probably give her a little bit more time to get back and get working.
Yes.
You got a January one for me?
I don't have a January calendar just yet. But
okay, do we have Ms. Tumbling's current address, Mr. Taylor, so we can send notice?
I will make sure I have it and make sure.
Okay. So, because we need to make sure, Ms. Tumbling, you don't need to miss another court date. You need to make sure that your address is correct with the court, so that we can send notice of the hearing. So, so that'll be count 2, which will run concurrent with count 1, and count 3, the NOLO plea, $100 fine. That's a lot. Which will run concurrent with count 2 and count 1.
Yes, Your Honor.
All
Yeah.
right,
Got her address, phone number, and I'm also making sure she has a business card so she can get in touch with me regarding restitution hearings prior to.
all right. So Ms. Tumbling, get back out there, get your job, get back on your job because you're gonna need that money. All right then. Take care.
You too, thank
Go
you.
back with the sheriff's office.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so we had, I don't know what Mr. Moss is, I can't remember his previous last name. Hold on.
Was it Hardage? H-A-R-T?
Cartage, that's what it was. So Mr. Cartage missed a court date recently.
Yes, I thought I could use the same logins from the previous court date, and it wasn't working. So I guess I called the lawyer and he gave me the new logins for this court date.
Okay, well, it's the same, it is the same login, sir. We don't change it. So I'm not sure what happened, but yeah, it's the same.
See, I ain't know. I tried.
All right. All right, and Ms. Brown, so let's hurry up and clear this up because we got 1 o'clock. Are we ready for the 1 o'clock?
Judge, we do also have Miss Brown here as well.
Okay, I get, you keep telling me that, but I'm saying, are we ready to go forward on Brown? Because I'm ready. All right. What was Ms. Brown charged with? I don't have any of her information.
Yes, Your Honor, she is charged with 1 count of criminal trespass, and that case number is 2024 CR 08534.
Okay, what did you say she was charged with, Ms. Hagler? Because I only heard the case number.
Criminal trespass.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're
First
welcome.
name?
L-A, F as in Frank, A-Y-E, and then last name is Brown, B-R-O-W-N.
All right, so Ms. LaFay Brown. All right, Ms. Brown, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
I do.
All right, you can put your hand down. Mr. Lynch is with you at the podium. Mr. Lynch, what does your client plead to the offense before the court, criminal trespass?
No contest, Your Honor.
All right, so Ms. Brown, LaFay Brown, 2024 CR 08534, a NOLO to criminal trespass. By entering this plea, you give up the right to have a trial by jury or judge. You give up the right to have the state prove your guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up the right to have the presumption of innocence in your favor. You give up the right to confront witnesses, subpoena witnesses, present testimony and evidence on your behalf, to not incriminate yourself or present any testimony or evidence against yourself. And if you're not a United States citizen, a plea of guilty or no contest could negatively impact your immigration status. Do you understand all of these things, Ms. Brown?
Yes.
All right, factual basis recommendation, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On or about October the 8th of 2024, while patrolling the area of the West Curb Door W1 of the domestic terminal of the Atlanta Airport, 5500 North Terminal Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia, 30337, Clayton County. Officer David Wilson did notice the defendant sitting in an airport wheelchair on the far curb of the ground transportation area where the hotel shuttles pick up passengers. Officer Wilson immediately recognized the defendant as he had just issued her a criminal trespass warning on October the 2nd of 2024. Under case number 2427-68028, Officer Wilson asked the defendant how she was doing and why she had returned to the Atlanta airport after she was giving a criminal trespass warning the previous week. The defendant stated that she ran out of money the night before and that she could not leave the airport. Again, Officer Wilson asked her the same question. Why did she come back to the airport if she knew she had a criminal trespass warning? The defendant could not answer the question. At that time, the defendant was escorted to the police precinct where she was processed and arrested. Your Honor, it's important to know that the defendant does have a criminal trespass history at the airport, specifically April the 6th of 2018. She was arrested for criminal trespass under case number 1809 68004. She was issued a criminal trespass warning on April the 14th of 2022 under case number 221048049. And then again, on October the 2nd of 2024, she would issue a criminal trespass warning under case number 2427-68026. According to the police report, Officer Wilson indicates that the defendant does consistently refuse the services of Hope Atlanta, and again, continues to return to the airport to lodge and loiter with no official business as it relates to the airport. Your Honor, the state is, for those reasons, the state is asking you to not accept the NOLO plea. Again, she's been given several warnings in the past, but just continues to remain non-compliant and disobey lawful warnings and orders. The state's recommendation is 12 months probation, a fine of $300, 40 hours of community service, and the defendant is to stay away and to not return back to the airport unless it's there for official business.
All right, Mr. Lynch.
Judge, we would ask the court to accept the NOLO plea. Ms. Brown, she contacted me as soon as she got out of custody wanting to resolve this case. She did spend 23 days in custody with the Clayton County Jail. I have explained to her that they are stepping up their efforts to, I guess, prosecute people who are at the airport without official business.
Well, let me just tell you, I came into the airport this weekend, and the first thing I noticed was they said that the airport is closed to the public. Only people with official business or people supporting those who with official business or people who work at the airport will be allowed in the airport. They made a huge announcement. So it is announced that they are not allowing people to just come hang out at the airport. So Ms. Brown, do we have alternatives for where you're gonna go the next time you run out of money?
Well, I'm hoping that not be. My family's been helping me since I got out of here, and I've been maintaining a room, and I plan to apply for my Social Security. I'm now 62. I'll have to go get an early retirement. That day, I realized I shouldn't have been there, but I didn't sleep there. I was walking through. The hotel I was staying in didn't have a bus on that side of Sullivan Road, doesn't have public transportation. So therefore, I catch the shuttle after I stayed at the hotel with the hope of being able to walk through. And I sometimes have a little problem with this right leg. And I sat, and I hadn't been there 5 minutes. If they would look at the camera, and he did notice me, and I can't say he didn't give me the warning, he did, but I was trying to walk through from where the shuttle dropped me off. And I sat for a minute because my legs hurting on my way to the MARTA. And I was trying to explain that to him that I was on my way to MARTA. I did not stay there the night before. I can get proof that I stayed at a hotel. I was only walking through to get to the MARTA train. So, but I didn't stay there. I had monies and I paid. And my family and friends have been helping me since, trying to maintain a room. And my daughter and I was just talking about split pad. And we're gonna look for a place and hopefully I'll get my Social Security. And then in the meantime, my son-in-law beef up a little bit to help me a little bit more and get that done. And I'm getting a settlement, accident settlement in a few days, and that would help me stay away too until I get my Social Security. So there's some things that have been put in place now that I've turned 62, trying to get my monies and get things back on board. I'm a registered nurse by trade, forcibly retired by some things that have happened, but I'm working on that too. It's just been a lot of things that have been going on that I'm just working myself around. And
all right, Ms. Brown, when things start going bad, sometimes it can seem like it's all lining up against you, but you seem to have your ducks in a row.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You know, look for, I mean, they have lots of senior communities where, you know, you can live and they adjust the price for people who are living on a fixed income. Look for any kind of assistance that you can get. Please, please, please make sure that you sign up for, and I'm not telling you what I heard, I'm telling you what I'm going through with my own parents. sign up for Medicare and make sure that you take advantage of those programs that will get you, to make sure that you have health insurance now that you're able to do that. So you got to sign up within 6 months of turning 65, but make sure you do that also so that you can have consistent health care, and look out for those programs where they might be able to help you maintain housing and safety and security. Okay.
Yes, and I've checked into some of that, but you have to have a disability, and health-wise, I don't have one.
I got you.
And it just
what did you do previously?
Nursing. I'm a registered nurse by trade.
I know some of this stuff can be difficult to navigate, but I know there are plenty of people who need, even if you're not working as a registered nurse, they need people to sit with folk who have health issues or who are not mobile or who just need, so maybe you can find one of those agencies or find a place where you can, advertise your services on that. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And
all right.
Opening up even mentally, some things happened.
I got you.
And you're closed, but things are becoming to open up a little bit.
Okay. Well, I just say that every closed door is not closed permanently. And sometimes when you're trying to make your way through, things start opening up and you take advantage of those things as they come. Okay. And I wish you well. I'm gonna, this is case 2024 CR 08534. Mr. Lynch is pushing for a NOLO. Ms. Hagler is pushing for a guilty plea. I understand the situation at the airport. I would prefer to accept the guilty plea and then to give you credit for time served so that you don't have to pay the fines and the fees. It's going to be one or the other.
Okay.
Judge, I think we can go forward with the guilty plea.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
We'll go forward with the guilty plea based on.
Okay. And then I'll send you the 12 months credit for time served. Balance will be suspended as long as you do not go back to Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport unless you have business to travel within the next 12 months. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Brown, I'm praying for you, hoping everything will get better for you.
Thank you. God bless.
Take care.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right,
Thank
what
you,
else we
Judge.
got today? We have a 1 p.m. calendar, which it is now 1:10. And the 1 p.m. calendar is a motion to revoke bond. My understanding is it is the private attorney who is somewhere in the building.
I'm gonna see right now.
Yes, apparently attorney.
Mr. Taylor, do you want to break our room with Mr. Moss on your computer, on your?
We can do that, Charles.
I'm sorry?
I'll have, Mr. Lynch and I will speak to him, Mr. Moss, on my.
Okay.
You can
Okay.
in a breakout room. Nobody else is in the courtroom.
Okay, no problem. So Mr. Taylor's computer and Mr. Moss, I'll put you in breakout room number 2. Now, with respect to the motion to revoke bond, it is my understanding this is Stevie Payne, who's represented by Bradley Moody.
That is correct, Your Honor. He did submit a conflict, but the conflict only covers yesterday. The 18 doesn't cover today. So the state is ready to proceed with the hearing. Our officer is on.
All right.
I just had some contact with Mr. Moody because I remember this case from when I was with SG's office.
Yes.
An associate with his firm that he said was handling it, Mr. Bowles, James Bowles. So I just wanted to provide the court with that information.
Okay, so is Mr. Voles, so nobody's in the courtroom, is Mr. Voles like online, or, because I'm going forward if everybody got notice.
Yes, they got notice. We sent it digitally. They got notice.
I don't know anything further. It's Bowles, B-O-I-L-E-S. He has appeared before you before. I just wanted to let you know that that's information I knew if it would help the court. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, so this is case 2021 CR 08476, Stevie Payne. Mr. Payne is currently represented by the office of Bradley D. Moody, and my understanding was an associate of his was going to be handling this case. They were given notice of the motion to revoke bond. This is driving under the influence, count 1, improper turn, improper signal, count 2, and 2 counts of open container. Neither Mr. Payne nor his attorney are present. Mr. Taylor?
Yes, I just received a text from Mr. Moody. He's going to log in now. He asked me to send the Zoom link.
All right.
I'll send it to him immediately.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Moody's about to log in. 1 second.
Attorney Taylor, is his client logging in on Zoom as well?
That
You don't know? Okay.
Just the information I've provided.
Okay, thank you. Sergeant Foe, I am going to send you a message in the chat directly to you. So please respond. Thank you.
Are you muted?
Hello?
Turn my alarm on.
Say something.
Yo. Okay, I can hear you now. So I'm not real clear on what's going on with your case. I know, you had missed court.
Yes, but I had a license, and the license, they could give me enough time for my license, right? My being
Okay, Sergeant Foe, I just sent you a chat in the text. I meant a text mess. I'm sorry, a message in the chat. Please check it and respond. Thank you.
Can you send me a copy of your license?
No, I still don't have it.
What are you waiting to receive?
Well, no, because I'm I'll get my 200 license.
Hi, Your Honor. I just completed speaking with Mr. Moss.
Jeffrey Thomas.
Yes,
At this time, our pending case, I believe, is a no license or driving on suspended license.
yes.
And he's missed a court appearance and had a bench warrant issued. I asked him to join one of our Zoom meetings to basically demonstrate to the court that he's ready to.
Okay, but why did he miss the court appearance? What's going on?
Just asked for the court to withdraw the bench warrant and allow us to proceed on the case, which we anticipate having the license reinstated within a couple of weeks. What's been taking so long is he had to clear up matters in Florida that caused his license to be suspended there before he could get his license here in Georgia. And our overarching goal is for Mr. Moss to have his license valid and in place. And we think we can get that accomplished within about 2 weeks from the point that we're at now. He had hired an attorney in Florida, resolved those matters. So now it's just a matter of resolving the license issue, getting it reinstated here in Georgia.
All right. We have the ability to find him.
We do, Your Honor.
All right, we can rescind the bench warrant and we'll take the case when it comes back up.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. Mr.
All
Moss,
right.
I know that your girlfriend's been in touch with me. I'm going to continue to reach out to you through her, but feel free to email me or call me at the phone number that I've given her previously, okay?
Okay, and the next court date will be what, 2 weeks?
We don't know yet. It'll depend on the judge's calendar, but 2 weeks or maybe a little after. It's just the holidays are a little different, so we don't know just yet.
Okay, no problem. Thank y'all for working with me too.
Thank you, sir. Just make sure you stay in touch with me so I can keep the court informed, okay?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Haywood.
All right, Mr. Miles, take it easy.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I have an issue I need to raise with the court. We recently entered a negotiated plea on today's calendar for Jeffrey Lee Thomas, and the sentence that was recommended and agreed to was a balanced suspended sentence. The probation officer had just come in here and she showed me the disposition because she was going to talk to Mr. Thomas about probation. The disposition indicates that he was given probation for count 2. But I think Ms. Hagler will agree with me that we had.
It's on Thomas. Is it Miss Brenda? Who's doing here? Who's here on Thomas? Oh, Miss Willis. Can we amend Thomas? It actually should be 12 months to serve 20 days, credit for time served, balance suspended, as long as he has no contact with Jesse Howard and does not go back to 9157 Terra Boulevard, Jonesboro, Georgia, MARTA station. Also, on count 2 merges, count 3 is 12 months to serve 20 days, credit for time served, balance suspended as long as he has no contact with Floyd Denmark and does not go back to 9157 Terra Boulevard at the MARTA station.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I think we talked about probation first, and that might have been why that was done.
Okay. Just thank you. Thank you.
It happens. All right. Mr. Moody, is there an issue with him signing on? Does he know it's got to be all caps? What's going on?
I used to have James Bull's phone number, but I don't have it anymore.
Your Honor, I sent him the contact information that's right here on the podium.
Okay. I'll give him a couple more minutes and then I'm ready to go.
I believe Mr. Lynch and our business is concluded. Maybe be excused.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Super hard to get us out of there. See ya. I know the jail, and I'm like, well, before I get hit with new jail business.
At some point, I've got to get over to the office and scan in some waivers and appointment orders, but if I can get more of it done today, I can wait and do that tomorrow, Thursday.
Hello? Hello?
Mr. Moody,
Yes, hey, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. Sorry about my tardiness. I was coming out of Griffin and Mr. Taylor reached out to me and let me know the Zoom information, so that made it a little bit easier.
Okay, well, we aim to please. This is the State Court of Clayton County. This is on a motion to revoke bond on Stevie Payne, 2021 CR 08476. Mr. Payne is before the court for driving under the influence, improper turn, improper signal, and 2 counts of open container.
All right.
The state is represented by Attorney Jameen Hagler, and with the Solicitor General's office, and she's ready to go forward at this time.
All right.
All right, Ms. Hagler, you may present your witnesses.
Yes, Your Honor, and since the defendant is not on, I'm just asking the defense to stipulate his identity for this hearing since he's not on.
My understanding is the notice was sent. Mr. Payne is not present. Does he intend to waive his appearance?
Your Honor, I would waive it on his behalf. We talked to him this morning, and we sent him the link as soon as I got it from Mr. Taylor. However, he hasn't responded this afternoon to any of our phone calls or to the message. But I would waive his presence on his behalf.
All right, let's move forward, Ms. Hagler.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, the state would like to call Officer Foe. If you could please unmute your camera and unmute your device, please.
All right, raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand out, Sergeant. Your witness, Ms. Hagler.
Thank you, Judge. Please state your first and last name for the record.
My first name Tao, Thao, last name Pho, Pho.
Thank you. And Sergeant Foe, how are you employed?
I'm employed with Morrow Police Department.
And how long have you been employed with the Morrow Police Department?
I've been employed with Morrow Police Department going to 6 years now, 5.5 years.
Okay. And so were you employed with the Morrow Police Department on February the 6th of 2021?
Yes.
And are you certified and credentialed?
Yes.
And are all of your credentials up to date?
Yes.
And were you certified and credentialed on February the 6th of 2021?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have arrest powers?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have arrest powers on February the 6th of 2021?
Yes.
And were you working on official duty and working in your official capacity on that day?
Yes.
Okay. And on February the 6th of 2021, were you on patrol in the area of Jonesboro Road and I-75, Morrow, Georgia, 30260?
Yes, I was.
And what county is that address located in?
Clayton County.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that Sergeant Foe has established venue for this case, Your Honor.
Record shall reflect that.
Thank you. And upon your arrival, did you observe anything?
So upon my arrival, I was patrolling. I observed there were 2 vehicles on the left lane of Jonesboro at I-75 South. And I made contact to the driver, and I remember her name is Russell, Russel. She advised me that the vehicle in the front of her has been stopped, and the driver had been appeared to be sleeping behind the wheel for about 10 minutes.
Okay. And was she able to indicate to you how long the defendant had been sleeping behind the wheel?
Yes, she said at least 15, I'm sorry, at least 10 minutes.
Okay. And the defendant in this case, would that be Stevie Payne?
Yes.
Okay. And after speaking with Ms. Russell, what did you do next?
I went approach to the vehicle and I observed there was some damage in the front fender of the vehicle, but I wasn't sure whether it's related to at the scene or not because I cannot know. I don't know whether it's new or not. So I made contact. I went to the driver's side of the vehicle. I observed Mr. Payne. He resting his head on his shoulder and with the window up. So I tried to wake him up, tell him, hey, go ahead and roll out the window. So he opened his eye and looked at me completely, really confused. And he ended up rolled out the window. At that time, I smell a strong odor of alcohol beverages from the vehicle.
Okay. Did you ask the defendant if he had been drinking that day?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And what was his response?
He did not respond to my answer.
Okay. And you said that the defendant looked confused?
Yes.
Okay. How so?
I see. So I tried to make eye contact to him. He tried to stay away from me, and he looked like that. It just looked like that. You just wake up like you just like you don't know what's going on.
Okay. Did you observe anything unusual about his clothing?
Yes, I did. So the left of his shirt was untucked, and I also observed he was chewing meat.
Okay. Also, while speaking to the defendant, did you ask him any questions on that day?
I did ask him that how many drinks that he had, but he did not answer me that question. So at that time, I looked at his eyes, so that why he could stay away from me. So I cannot give a really good good look at his eyes. So
Okay. At any point during your investigation, did you ask the defendant to step out of the vehicle?
yes, I did.
Did he comply?
He complied that he stepped out of the vehicle, but he used his hand to hold on the driver door so he can keep his balance at the time. Also, when I asked for additional unit come and we asked him to step back to his vehicle, he started leaning on the back of the vehicle, appeared to be losing the balance.
Okay. At any point during the investigation, were standardized field sobriety tests conducted?
No, it did not. We asked him, but he refused.
Okay. Was the defendant asked to do any other tests on that day?
No.
Okay. At some point, was the defendant arrested on that day?
Yeah, after he refused all the tests, all the field sobriety tests, I ended up arresting him for DUI, let's say.
Okay, and why did you arrest him for DUI, let's say?
Based on his appearance.
Okay. And then, Your Honor, I don't have any further questions for officer support at this time, but I do want the judge, requesting the judge to take judicial notice of the order for bond in case number, one second. Okay, and the order for bond for case number 2021 CR 08476. That order for bond was one second. Okay, that order for bond was signed on September 8th of 2020 by Judge Salvia, S-A-L, V as in Victor, I-A, middle initial Y as in Yo-Yo, last name Fox. And it does indicate that the defendant must not violate any laws while on bond. And I have no further questions for Sergeant for you.
All right, Mr. Moody, cross-examination.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Does the state have another witness to present at this time?
Not at this time, Your Honor. No, the
All
state
right,
rests.
is Sergeant Foe free to go at this time?
Yes,
Thank
Your
you,
Honor.
Your Honor.
All right, take care, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay, the state rest at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, anything on behalf of Mr. Payne, Mr. Moody?
No evidence, Your Honor, just argument.
All right, so I'll hear argument. Ms. Hagler?
I take it the case may prove.
I can't hear you, Mr. Moody.
Yeah, he's breaking up.
Then I take it the state wishes to conclude.
Ms. Hagler?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Essentially, as far as my argument goes, we're talking about events from in excess of 3 years ago, as to the basis of the need to revoke a bond in November of 2024. This is stuff that they said happened in February of 21. If this was such a problem and should have been something that would have been handled, when there was an immediate need for it back in 2021, there's been no indication or any other evidence or even argument that he's further violated any conditions of his bond here now, some 3 years later. So we have one slip up in a time period, which, quite frankly, the entirety of the evidence is based upon what the officer testified. He believed it to be based upon Mr. Payne's appearance, not any manifestations, not anything else. He just testified to an odor and appearance. There's no test results. There's no field sobriety examinations. There's no search warrant showing any sort of blood alcohol content. And I'd say, one, the state hadn't proved that he violated the bond condition, and two, even if they had, what good is putting him in jail 3.5 years later after this, when there's been no showing that there's been anything else? It seems that this is kind of like a afterthought that the state's now going to attempt to use, put him in jail. Maybe they can leverage a plea out of it, something to wrap up these cases. But otherwise, I don't understand what we're dealing with here, so far removed from any allegations. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Hagler?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the state does request that you deny the defendant's bond, again, pursuant to the bond order that was signed on September 8th of 2020 by Judge Fox. The defendant was told to not violate any laws while out on bond. He did pick up this charge in February 6th of 2021. Again, another DUI that he did pick up. And so, based on the officer's testimony, based on the fact that he was arrested for a second DUI, the state is asking the court to revoke the defendant's bond at this time. Thank you.
So generally, I'm a proponent of the motion to revoke bond to keep people from doing things repeatedly. And had it been done, I guess, in the space of time after he was arrested for the second DUI, this would have made more sense to me. But does he have a subsequent arrest after this particular case?
1 second, Your Honor. Well, the only other arrest that I see after this was still in 2020 was 2021. a DUI in Douglas County, October 4th of 2021. I don't see anything aside from that, but a Douglas County arrest, October 2021.
Is that 3?
This would be considered 3. I would just have to confirm the outcome of it. But this would be, I don't see a disposition on here from Douglas County, but yes, this will be a third one.
But nothing since the 2021 in Douglas County or our case?
Correct, Your Honor. Based on his criminal history, the last arrest was October 4th of 2021 from Douglas County. That is correct.
So the issue I have is generally, I would have liked to have seen this after the second DUI, whether it's Douglas County or us, because maybe we could have prevented the third, and it's by some measure of grace that Mr. Payne didn't manage to kill himself or somebody else, allegedly, with 3 DUI arrests. But I don't know that this constitutes at this point an emergency motion to revoke bond. Although it does make me afraid to leave Mr. Payne out on the street, because he seems to, what does the children say, catch a case really easily when it comes to DUI. So I balanced the issue of whether I'm actually protecting the community or being punitive in this situation, because it's been at least 3 years since the last arrest for a DUI. Mr. Payne could have presumably gotten some help or done something different to prevent anything else at this point. My fear is that I have to balance that and protecting the community, which is the whole reason for a motion to revoke bond. It is clearly to protect either individuals who may be the target of the defendant's actions or the community in general, or I look really punitive in that we haven't moved this case because it's one of the ones that's been hanging around since the pandemic, and now it looks like we're trying to bring a motion to revoke bond to push the case. I would rather just get the case on a trial calendar and let's try it and be done with it. So at this time, the court does not find that there's an emergency such that a motion to revoke bond would be necessary. I do find that some of the factors are there for a motion to revoke bond. However, it should have been brought in a more timely fashion so that the court doesn't have to balance whether this is punitive and an issue of pushing the case to trial or pushing Mr. Payne to make certain decisions that would affect a fair trial, as opposed to protecting the community. Now, I say that, but Mr. Moody, you are Mr. Payne's attorney. Please, please, please let him know that the court makes this decision with a lot of trepidation, because I do feel like there is a risk to the community to not lock him up. And if he doesn't understand that while he hasn't been convicted of the offenses before this court, and I don't have any way of knowing whether he's been convicted of the offenses before the Douglas County Court, it does give me some pause to understand that this man is racking up quite a legacy of arrest for the same charge. And with that being said, that it would behoove him, before somebody gets hurt, himself included, to take whatever steps are necessary to avoid the most devastating consequences of this type of charge.
Yes, ma'am.
With respect to
I will inform him.
Yeah, but with respect to, and tell Mr. Payne, it's not always somebody else that it happens to. Sometimes the person who is committing the offense is maimed or killed, or a loved one of theirs. And so he takes a great risk by not being mindful of those consequences. Because the last thing he wants is a trooper or a uniformed officer rolling up on his loved one's doorstep to tell them that either he or somebody that is close to them has suffered a loss. We had a situation this weekend where a 24-year-old lost her life because of a wrong way driver. I still am not clear whether she was the wrong way driver or if it was somebody else, but I do know that there was a woman who the wrong way driver passed her close enough to make her feel like she was about to get hit. And so the consequences of these actions there are some real life consequences. And so Mr. Payne did not feel like he quote unquote beat the case, but he should feel like these are some steps that he needs to take to avoid any further connection with the court. And let's see if we can't get these cases resolved and get the situation attended to. So
yes, ma'am.
I say that, and this is one of those things where when you wear the robe, it's hard to make these decisions, but I have to be mindful to protect the constitutional rights of the defendant as well as protect the safety of the community. And this is where the balancing comes in.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so at this time, the motion to revoke bond is denied, but the court reserves the right to revisit this decision.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
May I be excused?
Yes,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Moody. Mr. Moody, are y'all ready for trial?
Yes, ma'am. We've announced ready.
Okay, so we'll get this on the next trial calendar and let's see if we can get this taken care of. Because it's an old case, and I don't know where these old cases keep coming from. I thought we had cleared our backlog, but we keep getting stuff from magistrate court, and I'm understanding that I'm not the only judge this is happening to, that a bunch of judges are getting, all of us on this floor are getting things from magistrate court when we thought we had cleared our backlog. And I was trying to be into the 22s and the 23s, and now I'm still getting some 2021s. And so, yeah, let's see if we can't get these tried as quickly as possible. And if necessary, try the 2 outstanding cases back to back. All right.
Sounds good, Judge. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hackler. All right.